Welcome back to Business Hats Podcast. This episode is brought to you by JobNimbus, the only CRM I recommend in the roofing industry. If you're the contractor and don't have CRM yet, I don't know where you have been, but world have changed. You cannot operate and scale the roofing business doing what you've been doing 20 years ago. Today, everyone went digital. I promise you, you will never regret investing in CRM. And JobNimbus is one of the most affordable and most powerful CRMs in the roofing industry. Not only roofing, it's also available for painters and other trades, but roofing, it's kind of books for Amazon for them. Like, it's their first category. They dominate the roofing space. I've used it for many years and I recommend it to others. Check out JobNimbus, talk to them, tell them that Dmitry sent you, and I promise you it will help you years to come. Now let's get back to our special guest today, Brian Shantz. Welcome back, everyone, to Business Hats Podcast. Today, I have a very special guest, Brian Shantz, the founder of SumoQuote. I cannot think of a better person to talk about presentations. So the entire podcast is going to be about how to present yourself in the house with the homeowner. If you're the contractor, this podcast is for you, especially if you're in sales. If you think that you don't have your presentation game on, please watch this, listen to this to the end. I promise you're going to learn a few gems that will improve your presentation game. Ryan, welcome to the show.
Dmitry, great to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's a January, 2nd, 3rd, starting our year here. I think it's the winter is the time when we should be working on the presentations, how to improve ourselves. You know, your books, you're pretty much moving forward to the year. It's, everybody's slow now. What else to work on if not for presentation, right?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I know. This is typically the time that people are reviewing their tech stacks, trying to figure out how they're going to be set up and really try and differentiate themselves and get out of the gates fast against the competition out there. So yeah, this is always a fun time of year for us.
You're in Canada. How cold it is in Canada right now?
You know what? It's not too bad. It's probably 30 degrees or so, but I remember over Christmas, I pulled up the temperature and it was freezing. It was probably, minus 25 Fahrenheit. And I started looking around for someplace warmer to move to. And I noticed that the North Pole was actually warmer at that time than it was where I was in Canada here. So it was pretty much anywhere on Earth felt warmer than where I was at that time.
Love it. Well, let's dive right to it. What's the most important thing in presentation, in your opinion?
I think the most important thing is just looking professional. You think about all of the purchasing decisions that people make, and it's really, really difficult to actually tell people apart or products apart or figure out what to trust or what to go with. And you've got all these industries out there that have invested so much into customer experience or the buying experience. And so if you've got something where to the homeowner, they can tell that you are more professional at that point of sale when they're trying to figure out who to trust with their property. So just that professional design of it, the brand of it, the colors of it, having it look really, really sharp compared to anything else. I mean, Word, Excel just doesn't do it for you. Your generic CRM just doesn't do it for you. So that's where SumoQuote's found a really good position in the market, and we've helped our contractors increase their sales quite significantly.
One of my businesses, Directory, offers service that we review estimates sent to us by homeowners. So if homeowner does not know who to pick from 3-4 estimates, sometimes up to 8 estimates, they send us those bids and we review them. It would tell them as a contractor who we think is better contractor based on what we see. Last year, I reviewed quite a few where all of them were handwritten estimates. My question to you is, do you see any downplays? Do we have a scenarios out there where having too much in presentation or being too flashy or have too much can turn them off? I'll give you an example. Let's say you have a contractor A who provide an estimate and it's handwritten, and contractor B who has 25 pages. Now, for the homeowner, do we have people out there who might go with a handwritten estimate thinking that they're dealing with the tradesman and they're giving him credit and close their eyes on presentation versus going with someone who's good at paperwork but maybe didn't earn trust being better contractor?
Yeah, so I'll answer it with a story. I had a guy on my when I was, when I was running our sales team for our roofing company, because I did that for a long time first before we launched SumoQuote. I had one of the guys on the team. He was selling a hardy job and called the homeowner. You'd gotten all the numbers put together, called the homeowner and said, "Hey, I'm ready to present. I'd love to connect with you." And the homeowner said, "Well, we've kind of already decided who we're going to go to with, but sure, you know what? You've put the work in. Why don't you come out and sit down with me and we'll go through it." So he goes out there. Homeowner's one of these homeowners. I'm sure you've had the type where they've got a file folder, they've got like 8 estimates all in there. They're all sitting there, right? And he said, so this is the guy that we've decided to, we've probably decided to go with, and our sales guy can see the quote there. Um, and after about 5 minutes with our sales guy, the homeowner said, "You know what? Actually, I'm going to go with your company. I mean, look at your quote. It's so much more detailed." Now, the interesting word there I thought was detailed, because our sales guy could see the competitor's quote and he actually thought it was more detailed, but ours was more consumable, right? So it was much more visual. It was easier for the homeowner to understand. The other one, obviously built in Word, was full of roofing jargon, siding jargon, all this stuff that the homeowner didn't really understand. They kind of phase out after a couple minutes of trying to read it and understand it. So if you can make it very consumable to the homeowner where it's easy for them to understand, and you're the one that helps explain that. So obviously, using photos makes that very simple and easy for them to understand, and including that in your quote. Maybe having marketing pages explaining your business, but having it be visual and highlighting the words that really exemplify your business. Like, there's little things that you can do. So to your point, I probably wouldn't go with a 25-page presentation, but find your sweet spot in there, but just make sure that it's about the homeowner and it's about getting the information into their hands and into their mind that they need to understand. And if you can do it in a way that is professional and explains it really easily, I think you're going to be way ahead of the competition over a handwritten note.
Do you have any data available to you that talks about or gives us insights on how many people go on digital versus paperwork? In my 7 years of business, I probably have, I don't know, 10 people who requested um, estimate or invoice mailed to them, right?
Right. Yeah.
Doesn't happen, but there's, if I would run my analytics, I probably would have like 10 people like that. But how many people truly digital? I'm a digital guy. I like option where I don't need receipt, whether I go to restaurant or if I go to change my tires or oil, email me, text me. That's what I prefer. How many people still want that handwritten estimates?
You know what? I don't know. I don't have an exact number on it. The type of data that we're tracking that I think is interesting as a part of it, because I think ultimately it's about what gets the homeowner to react, right? Is kind of the question, right? Is it they like it handwritten, they want it in person, or they're willing to take it electronically? Um, I think one, you've got to have a solution for both. I would never say don't meet with a homeowner in person. I think it's statistically your odds of closing the deal are your highest at the kitchen table. So you've got to have a tool that does both. You can send it electronically, or you can leave an electronic copy with them when you leave if you can't get them to sign there. Um, I think one of the interesting pieces of data that we've got is around upgrades and sort of this concept of putting upgrades in front of homeowners every time, regardless of whether you're pushing it or not. You're at least presenting it and having it in front of them. Last year, we had, I think, over 400,000, maybe closer to 500,000 projects that were built in SumoQuote. And so we've got a good sample size there, right? Um, the average quote went out with, I think it was 2.6 upgrades being offered and came back with 1.4 upgrades selected. And the average amount of additional revenue that was added was, last I checked, it was $2,078. So if you just put upgrades in front of
Just
people,
offer.
they will check it off if you make it easy and convenient for them. And so I think that's the goal. It's to the homeowner, whether it's in person, whether it's digital, it's whatever is easy and convenient for them. to make it fast for them to sign, because you want to be, these days it's all about speed with things.
Love it. You said that the most important thing is to get in front of the homeowner. What's your strategy for those who say that email me quote, I don't have time for presentation? What do you do when a customer does not let you to pitch them? Who said like, you're not welcome at my kitchen table. I don't have time for appointment. Email me the quote instead of go over it. What do you answer to that?
Um, Again, you can only, I think, force the customer down a road so much, but they're the ones in charge at the end of the day. I'm not going to get into a fight over homeowners, say I'm not going to give you a number, because I know I can get them signed whether I meet with them in person or not. I'd love to meet with them in person. That's my best odds of closing them. But um, so there's a sales coach out there, a guy named Chuck Toki. And Chuck made this comment to me the other day, because I mean, he's coaching people on how to sell in person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and his comment to me was, I love SumoQuote because even after your leave, it continues to sell the homeowner for me. So the fact that it is there, you know, a presentation's just a tool, right? And like any tool, it's how you use it, and it's what tools you have available to you. So having a good presentation doesn't get you away from training salespeople well, or having good processes, or making sure that you're communicating the right things. But if you can have a tool and you're using it effectively, it can certainly help sell and close a job for you, even if you're not there. So if a homeowner, if they're highly resistant to meeting in person, the one I would offer to meet online, because meeting virtually people are comfortable with, and it's often more convenient for them. And two, I think that presentation can really help you stand out and sell the job for you as well.
Love it. Let's talk about online sales, virtual sales, because I know your team is killing it. You have a lot of guys who moved away and work remotely from their homes, and they're still selling millions of dollars worth of roofing jobs. How does it change the presentation? Do you have the same presentation whether you're in person or if you're online, virtual, or you make tweaks? What's the strategy between the two?
It tends to be the same presentation, because you're going to want to touch on the same things and talk through the same things, but it's slightly different follow-up on it in how you communicate with them, right? So, yeah. So again, our roofing company, I always preface this with the fact, because these are some staggering numbers I'll share. I preface it with the fact that we had a couple of really big hailstorms up here in Calgary. So 2020 and 2021 were big, big hail years. And we have a lot of inbound leads coming our way. But in 2021, I had two sales guys each sell over $8 million just of residential roofing jobs. No multifamily, no $1 million jobs. The largest job was maybe 70,000.
Wow.
Last year, the one guy moved. He moved to some island off the west coast of Canada, so middle of nowhere. But I was just like, you guys, we got it. Like, he's too good. We can have somebody, we call it scope the job for him. We can order an Eagle View. We can get all the data we need of photos and measurements and all that we need, and let him continue to sell. Well, he sold almost $5 million this year, living on an island off the west coast of Canada, just working 100% virtual remote. So it can be done incredibly easy this way if you've got good processes in place and if you're willing to use technology. And these days, homeowners are very willing to work with technology with you. So,
So
yeah, it's pretty powerful.
So those $5 million worth of sales, no one met the homeowner before. Who inspected the jobs? Who inspected the roofs? Where's the data came from? How did he sell so much? And what kind of assistant did he require?
I'm a big believer that if you're going to sell remote, you need to have had somebody attend the property, because you need to understand the complexities that you're getting into, the challenges, all the typical issues that you run into, right? So, yes, absolutely. We had somebody, we sort of hire a more junior person, as a part of the process. We would get the lead. We've got somebody sort of booking a route for them. So as they get their leads, here's your route for the next day, and there's all eight sort of in the same neighborhood or on a fast way for them to get around. They go up to the door, they knock on the door. There's marketing materials that they're handing. They're introducing themselves, and then they're letting the homeowner know that their sales rep will be reaching out to them. um, to book a meeting either in person or virtually. And then they go through and they document the entire property. So there's a very standard process of exactly the photos that will be taken, how many photos, the angles, just everything, it's the top of the ladder. Top of the ladder, there's always four photos, right? So photo of the pitch, put the pitch gauge on, photo of that, photo of drip edge, and whether it's ice and water or a synthetic or something, photo of the metal color, and photo of the soffit measurement. So it's very standard at this stage. You will take these photos, but that way, any person that touches that file, because we're 150 people in our roofing company, anybody that touched that file, it's all like they've been there because it's the exact same photos of how we've documented it. And then we order an Eagle View, and then from there, it's very easy for us to engage with a homeowner, anybody, in understanding exactly what their home is like, what's going on with it. And so it's very process focused on it, but that's why we can have somebody remote actually selling it because it's like they've been on site as they go through with those photos and measurements.
Love it. Do you believe that selling online is the future of selling in the construction industry, or you feel like in-person door knocking, home presentation will never go away?
I think it'll always be a blend. Because again, I think the consumer is going to dictate it. I think the consumers are getting more and more comfortable online. But yeah, I mean, nowadays with this, it's rare that you and I get to sit down in person, but we get so much of that from the tone, the body language, everything that we're doing here. And people are more comfortable with this. I think the pros are going to start outweighing the cons of being virtual. Being in person is ideal, right? I'm not gonna try and argue against that. But your ability to scale as a business, depending on how you're running your business, um, and the locations you're running and everything else, you're getting bigger companies that can launch with lower overhead due to technology and all sorts of things. The need for an office and a in-person showroom and stuff like that is going down, and there's some major overhead costs with that stuff. And so you can be really, really efficient online is the benefit. Now you got to make sure that the customer experience is just as good, if not better, as in person. And those tools are growing fast every day. And I always say, as a homeowner, I remember, having somebody come out to give us a quote for air conditioning. And no, 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 has to be in person. Fine. So I got to leave work early. I got to get home at the end of the day. You know, my kids are there, they're screaming, they're hungry, and they want to have dinner. Like everything is the worst experience for me as a consumer. In what other industry? It's not like we go think about getting a used car and the salesperson's like, hey, why don't I come over to your house? You can pour me a cup of coffee and I can pitch you hard on why you need to buy this used car from me. Like in no other industry do we invite people into our homes to do this, right? This is more of a construction contractor type thing. So I think the tools are coming along very fast, and homeowners' desire for it to be virtual is very high right now. So,
Love it.
you know, yeah,
No, I absolutely love it because consumer behavior dictates. I love that phrase which you said, and we just have to listen and think about what consumer is getting because we are removing the nastiest part of the process, the pressure. People know that you cannot pressure them over Zoom. You can't. It's impossible. I'm going to turn you off. Boom. Where if you're in my house, I have to kick you out. If you're a bigger guy than me, you have to be careful because nobody wants to have confrontation, right? And this thing allows us to sell more, not because actually you can be in front of more homeowners because you can. I remember I was attending writing web classes, training, sales training, and writing web teaches that you can do efficiently 2, 3 presentations per day, and I agree with that because sales is a hard work. Driving, preparing, taking care of customers you dealt with yesterday. If you're doing more than 3 appointments a day, you're going to be start lacking somewhere else because you have a pipeline. It's not only 3 today, it's also other 15 open estimates that you have, all the follow-ups and calls and stuff. So if you're doing 8 appointments a day, you will never catch up with the phone calls. When do you actually troubleshoot on the builds that go on right now, change orders, paperwork, and stuff like that? But with the Zoom, you can do more. You can do 30-minute appointments every hour, or 45-minute appointments every hour. So you're cutting drive time. And I think the whole green thing, saving on gas, it's huge. I mean, people can relate to it. Why would I meet you in person, driving to you, burning diesel fuel on my truck, if I can do the same thing via Zoom?
Well, and I remember back when I was running roofs, and I've run thousands of them, so I've done this, right? I think my record, and this was for retail jobs because it's very different on insurance work, right? And what you're documenting and
Hmm.
photographing and measuring and all of that stuff. But I think my record was 18 houses that I scoped in a day. Retail, and when you get an efficient route set up, you just go out because you just need the photos, you're ordering the measurements. If it's a gable, you're doing the measurements quick. Like it's not hard to do. And then from there, I mean, your efficiency of going through that, and then your efficiency to your point of being able to sit down and run 8 meetings in a day and still have time in between them as you go. It's yeah, like you can produce. That's how our salespeople. The other one I'll throw in there is if there's something like that that's a lower end, as I mentioned before, a lower end skill, pays somebody else to go out there and do the inspections for you. And then you don't even have to do it. $20 an hour. Somebody's going out there doing all the inspections for you. You're just booking those meetings and closing. You're focusing on the things that are the high payoffs for you, as opposed to spending all. It's like hiring an office administrator, right? Dmitry shouldn't be running around doing all the office admin work, making sure the internet's running and stuff like this. You've got to have people for that because then you can do the things that a more highly skilled, valuable person can do.
Exactly. Love it. No, the trend is definitely there. But what do you tell people who are stubborn, who, because you know how roofers are, I've done it this way so many times. Why would I change? I get those people all the time. They're just, if it works, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Now, is it true that it's not broken just because you're growing every year? I mean, what else you can do with the presentation that helps you to scale, to go to the next level? Like, what other tools in the presentation that we can implement that helps us to be better than we were yesterday in our businesses? Because it's not just the closing rate. What else is there? What other
Well,
benefits?
I think it's interesting. You mentioned Rodney Webb there a few minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
What Rodney Webb, one of his things is shoot a video, right?
Mm-hmm.
Start on the ground, shoot the video, go up the ladder, have your two areas marked off already,
Mm-hmm.
hit it, right? Like, and be able to walk. So you're taking that experience of the roof to the homeowner and personalizing it and everything else. So what else can be done? Well, we're going to be launching in Q1 here this year, videos being incorporated into SumoQuote. So
Love it.
that's going to be an incredibly powerful thing. Um, Especially if you're using that to try and book a meeting so that you can have a video, have a meeting link if somebody wants to book a meeting, either in person or virtual. It's up to them. You can give them the choice with tools these days. And then being able to incorporate a roof visualizer as well directly in as a part of that quote and that sales presentation. There's some incredibly dynamic. I mean, you think about ultimately where is this going? I don't think it's going to go there overnight, but anybody that anybody that considers buying a vehicle, often they go onto a website first and they play around with, oh, I want it to be this color and I want these features. And it's all these self-serve items that they can do themselves. They can sell themselves on the vehicle before they even walk into the dealership to sort of negotiate and sign the papers, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
there's all sorts of these things coming out, and so SumoQuote certainly we're going to be leading the charge with that stuff. So yeah, in later Q1 here, look for videos to be incorporated, look for roof visualizers to be incorporated. There's some really forward-thinking buying experiences that we're going to be helping contractors create for their homeowners.
How do you pick a color right now with the Sumo quote? What's the process there? Because if I'm calling you remotely, that guy on the island, how did he pick $5 million worth of roof colors?
Well, I mean, the funny thing is with homeowners, I'm sure you've had these conversations as well. Um, you say, "Hey, what color do you want in your roof?" And they're like, well, I don't know what color is my roof right now, and they have no clue. It's not like they're picking, a backsplash tile in their
Hmm.
kitchen or something like that. So I mean, we would always in SumoQuote in a presentation include a marketing page from the manufacturer that we're selling. So if we're selling Owens Corning, we're gonna have an Owens Corning marketing page in there with all the Owens Corning shingle colors, and 95% of the time, that's great. That's all they need to see, right? If it's Atlas, then it's Atlas, and then we can make sure that, and then there's typically other Atlas marketing pages we're including in there to talk about Scotchgard and everything else, and we can make sure that all of these really important things are being highlighted as we go through it, right? Um, so in picking colors, though, one of the tools that I've seen out there recently is from Project Map It. And so they'll have not just here's the projects and see all of the projects that we've done in your neighborhood, but they can have photos from those projects so that the homeowner can go in, click on it, and actually see photos of certain colors installed. And you can segment it by color of shingle in your region. Like it's really incredible, some of these things. So yeah, these are a number of our partners out there that we've worked with to incorporate the tools, the sales tools that they've built directly into SumoQuote, so it's a seamless experience for the homeowner.
I agree with 95% rule. I want to give quick shout out to Atlas. Back in the day, I used to sell Atlas shingles, and they have this app. It was like, looking back now, it wasn't that sophisticated. So it was on the iPad. I have this iPad 2013, 2014. You take a picture of the house. You pick the roof line where pretty much if you have gable roof, it doesn't matter. So it cuts roof line above. Pretty much you have to separate the brick from the roof, right? And then it just shows you like a big patch of solid roof color, like solid shingles. And you just swipe how it would look with the colors. And I think it was genius. I remember I was showing to other reps, like from OC and other. I'm like, this is the best app on the market, because OC, GF, they all have apps, but nothing was beating for me Atlas one, because people just want to see the color of their brick or paint on the siding against the color on the roof, right? So if I'm showing you like, hey, do you see you have a red brick and brown wood will look good, or if it's tan house, or if it's tannish, or let's say grayish, then it stayed great. You show it to them, as long as it matches. It's just like a purse and a shoes. It matches, it's good. You're solid. Don't go with the red. Don't go with the brown. It's off. Pretty much with the roof color, it's whether it's matches or it's off. And if contractor is recommending it, 95%. Like if I like it stay great, I remember JF used to have what was it? Mission Brown. It was number one sell. My favorite color of all times was GF Mission Brown, and I would sold it every week. It was like 80% of my sales. Switch to other brand, pick the color, and if you like it, if it looks decent, that's what you're going to sell. So it's a sales rep's decision, but you have to show them if it matches or not. But I think the future in a presentation, though, you have to show them how their house would look with it, because people get impressed. It's your homework. When you show them what do you look like, and I think that the 3.0, so 1.0 is me showing you at a house pictures, whatever. 2.0 would be showing you different colors, maybe in an app or presentation, how your house could look today. And 3.0 would be if they get to pick and choose. I recently had that experience with the Nike. I went on Nike website, and I have Nike Metcon shoe. You can buy a shoe for $130, and there's like 5 or 6 different colors. But you can also customize it to you, have the base of it. You can have one color, then you can pretty much from laces to inside of the shoe. There's a 14 customizations that you can make, and you only pay $30. So you're online on Nike Metcon website, and I actually even put Dmitry, my name, on the back of the shoe. It gives you logo or graphic option, and Dmitry actually was the only word I could use, like that fits perfectly.
Nice.
So I did it, and I'm like, how awesome it is. Like, I feel like I customize it. So 3.0 would be in the home presentation is if the homeowner get to click and pick his color, and now he feels like he is the one who picked it, and you just approve it. I mean, first of all, it's liability. You picked it, but second of all, it empowers them, and it creates experience for them what they like. I think that's the next step in the color selection.
Oh, absolutely. And you're right, Atlas has a great tool for that. Like it's awesome. And so yeah, and I just finished reading last night Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. So
Yep, I have
Nike
that
CEO.
book. Yep.
Oh, it's awesome, man. I love it. Um, but no, I think you said it. It's that buying experience, right? And so we're going to have these buying experiences that people are getting used to. They're getting them in all of these other industries. I always say, man, I can't think of the last time I was in a bank. Why would I go in a bank anymore, right? I have my phone. If somebody ever sends me a paper check, I take a picture of it. It's in my
Mhm.
account. Grocery shopping. Like grocery shopping is creating buying experiences way beyond what roofing is, it seems like these days, right? So I've got three young boys. There's no way I'm going to drag three little terrorists through a grocery store for an hour on my weekend when I can just order it online, either get it delivered to my door or just drive up outside the store and they walk in and put it in my vehicle for me. So that's where that's the fun part with SumoQuote is we get to sort of invent and lead the charge on a lot of this stuff and creating a buying experience that's different than everything else out there. And so it's what homeowners want. And right now, the tools haven't been out there, and we're having a lot of fun getting to build this stuff.
Love it. What else should they include in their presentations? Let's talk about partnerships because I would say, I mean, it's known fact that the only reason people don't buy from you is because they don't trust you. If they trust you, they're going to buy from you. Like winning trust is crucial. And if you're brand new, if you've been in business for less than a couple years, they're going to be skeptical if you don't have those reviews. And one of the ways you can leverage that is bringing your relationship with sponsors, right? Like not sponsors, partners. ICO, Atlas, JF, Owens Corning in our space, Pink Panther, something that they are familiar with and more than you. So what goes first in the presentation? Your story or your brand story? If are we dealers of, let's say, if you would sell cars, you sell Chevy. I mean, it's your name before this. Like we have in Minneapolis Luther Toyota, or right, but it's Luther's last name, I guess. I don't even know. So we have all the dealerships in different cities. You see Nissans, Toyotas, Fords. You see the brands that they sell, but then also secondly, who sells it. With the contractors, the same thing. You're getting the same shingle from different brands. How do we implement it in the presentation?
Well, I'm actually gonna back up one step from there. I read a book the other year, Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller.
Mm-hmm.
Really phenomenal book. And and Donald would say, um, it's about making the homeowner the hero, and as a contractor, we're the guide. So, do we position ourselves first or the brand first? I would say we actually position the homeowner first. And so we do that in subtle ways in SumoQuote. So we put the homeowner's house on the cover page. So right away, this is a story about you and about your home. And then you go through and you can have inspection photos of their home and educating them and stuff. So and I mean, it's sort of the third option that I'm going to sort of slide in there, but um, make it because ultimately at the end of the day, who do they care about? Atlas or ABC Roofing or themselves more, right? They care about themselves the most.
People are
So if
selfish. That's a great.
absolutely,
It's a great point.
so I would say that'd be the first one. The second one, though, is I would say they're ultimately putting the trust in yourself as a company. The brand, I like the brand. I like the tools from the brand because I certainly use that as a closing, as a here's the confidence for you to sign now. Here's the reassurance that, we're platinum preferred or whatever it is. But the next guy down the road could be platinum preferred as well, and the other three or whatever it is, right? So I would go homeowner first, company or salesperson sort of second, blending those two together, and then brand third. And all of those, you just have to be intentional about weaving those in. Um, you need to, and Rodney does a really good job of this, making sure that you've got a narrative or a structure that you're taking them through so that it makes sense and you're not skipping things. And it's a very guided process. Um, and you're not just winging it in there. So yeah, I would go homeowner, company slash salesperson, and then brand as sort of one, two, three. I mean, that's my opinion on it, but
Love it.
yeah.
Help me understand next portion. Branding to me goes hand to hand with the presentation, and here's what I struggle a lot working with the contractors is to explain this concept. Everybody wants to brag. Everybody thinks they're the best, which is you are the best. You should think that you are the best. But in branding and marketing, I have a hard time to explain it to my contractors that you do not put it online. You do not put it on your website. You do not use words like we're honest or integrity. All of those cliches, most trusted roofer or integrity, like the more you talk about it, the more you lose them. I always tell people to find out how are you different and say we're different. Like, and this is how I make decisions and what I love. Like, I'll give you example, tire shop that I go to. You come to the tire shop and if you buy tires from them for the rest of life, they change it for free. Like we're in Minnesota, so we have winter tires, summer tires. That's huge to me because it costs like $150 to change it every season, and twice a season, that's like $300. And if you buy tires from them, it's for life, right? Like for next 4 seasons. And I have a lot of cars, they change tires and they always deliver. It's crazy. I don't know how they stay in business. But I remember when I come to them, they're very busy, very good shop. They always say like, here at this tire shop, we're different. We do this, you get this. It's always like what you get and how we're different, and it applies to restaurants. It applies to like it's some restaurants, this is included, this is not. You go to Mexican restaurant and, chips and salsa comes off the bat. You don't have to order it. You're pretty much not paying for it, right? And those are little differentiators that makes you different from everybody else. And I think in the presentation, we should do more of it. As a matter of fact, buildingdirectory.com, I'm like a hawk. I'm scrolling my website, making sure we nowhere say that we have the best contractors. I mean, I do recommend the best contractors. Are they perfect? No, but I think we're different. And I hate even to say it anywhere that we're the best. How do you build a presentation showing people, and do you see people who you work with and build presentations for that they want to convince people that they're the best? Because I think it's a huge turnoff in a presentation. If you keep, you're right, people are selfish and they want you to talk about them. But when you're sitting around them, in front of them and keep saying, I'm the best, 35 years experience, I'm this, I'm that, I think it's a turnoff more than a winning strategy. Would you agree?
Yeah, oh, totally. And that's like there's a couple of things there. The first would be I'll bring it back to what we were talking about a second ago there with Donald Miller. Like if there's a roofer that's coming in saying I'm the best, and there's another roofer coming in saying, help me understand your problem, your life, your pain, your house, I'll show you what I've found, but let's make sure that you understand your property. The one that's engaging to the homeowner's pain is always going to be the one that just comes in talking about themselves, right? Um, so that's the first point I'd go to there is, and then the second one is just simply, well, your actions have to back up your words. And so it doesn't matter what you say. You can tell people you're the best all day long. They expect that you're going to tell them that you're the best ish, right? But what they're going to judge you on isn't whether you say you're the best, because who cares? Everybody says that, right? It's going to be, um, when I contacted you, could I talk to a human right away? Did you make my life easy or more difficult? If I wanted to meet on this date, did you accommodate? Were you out there, the next day? Did you give me more information than the next person? What value add can I create? How can my actions back those words? Because the words, frankly, don't matter that much. It's going to be your actions. And so you've got to make sure that every step of your actions is thought out, um, that you've thought through your customer experience from the first second that they touch your website and engage with you through a web form or they pick up a phone. What is the customer experience, and making sure that you've been very thoughtful with that the whole way through. And then again, SumoQuote just becomes a tool. So, um, but it's got to be based around the actions of the individual or the company.
What do we put in the presentation to make, like, do you agree that we should put our process that differentiates us? Because people like, I don't like to compare myself with the competition, but I like to show them how are you different. Like, I'm very different from anyone around me, right? And I'm not gonna talk bad about them. It's a bad tone. I don't think it helps anyone. But even in YouTube space, I'm not gonna trash other YouTubers. Like, you pick me because I'm different from them, and I watch different YouTubers. It's not because someone is better than others. It's because they're different. And when you need something specific, you go to people who have that what you need. Like, sometimes you need a big contractor, sometimes you need a small contractor, sometimes you need the highest quote, sometimes you need the cheapest quote. I mean, and contractors get offended all the time by it, but sometimes if you have a rental property and you're just trying to stretch a dollar, there's nothing wrong with looking for cheapest bid. Everybody hates it, but in reality, there are times when we go to Craigslist and we go to Chuck in the Truck because that's all we have in a budget and this is all we can afford. I mean, who knows what you're going through, right? And sometimes you won a lottery and you're like, you know what? I'm going to go with the most expensive because of XYZ, because I can afford it now. How,
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like for us, um, rather than saying I'm the best in there, with our roofing company, what we did was we created a page that just slides in as a part of our presentation, and we call it our How to Compare Contractors page. And so all we did was we wanted to highlight the things that we considered ourselves to be quite excellent at or different from other contractors with, right? So numbers of years in business, 21 years in business, over 30,000 projects completed, right? Full-time safety officer. We've got 150 employees, and so we're at the size where we have to have multiple safety officers, but we need to make sure we're taking safety seriously, and so we do that at our size with a full-time safety officer. Now, do you have to have a full-time safety officer to be safe? No, but we've got one, so it's kind of, like like grandma used to say, right? If you got it, flaunt it, right? We've got to try and differentiate our business from others. And so it's not that we're saying we're the best. We're just saying, hey, look, this is what you get with us as far as the value that we can help create. So if you're worried about safety at all, don't. We've got a full-time safety officer to make sure that this is taken care of. And then it's up to the homeowner to understand that, wow, okay, this other contractor, am I comfortable with them being in business 2 years versus 21, or having done, 300 projects versus 30,000 or whatever it is? And they could find a great contractor there still, but we're trying to sell and differentiate without using the words like you're saying of we're the best. Well, here are the value pieces of value that we're going to bring to the table to help make sure that your project goes over in an excellent manner and you are incredibly satisfied at the end of the day.
love it. Don't talk about it, be about it. What's your take on one-time closers? Like, should we try to close them on the first appointment? Your feedback on that?
I love it when I love and respect people that can. Um, but the flip side of that is people that force it. And to your point, it's just like, oh, I just want you out of my house. How can I'm not going to be able to muscle you out of here. I'm just going to sign the contract to get you out of here. And there's a negative taste or a bad connotation that's being left on the industry with that. Um, I wasn't a one call closer, and so anything that I can't do or haven't done, I always respect when I see it done really well. And so I love seeing people that can do it, but where it's forced or where it gives the industry a bad name because the homeowner it's giving them a bad experience, that turns my stomach the other way on it. So I'm definitely not against it whatsoever. But does it have to be the way every time? I also absolutely don't think it needs to be the way every time. And there's volumes of sales that people that will either one call close or nothing. They're missing massive amounts of sales if they force it down that and don't have the opportunity for a homeowner to sign after a second or a third meeting.
100% agree. What's the percentage of people do you feel like are ready to sign on a first appointment? Consumer behavior. How many people are ready when they call roofers? How many of them are ready? Like, is it 20%, 30%, half of them?
I don't know if it would be half, but it's probably more. So the people that are always doing two call closes would probably be shocked at how many would have signed at a one call. And the people that are doing one call closes are probably shocked at how many more sales they could get if they would do a two call. So I I would just venture a guess of, 20, 25, 30% in there somewhere. I think the majority still they want to, it's a big purchase, right? It's a lot of dollars you're talking about. They want to just be able to breathe a little bit easier. Um, I've heard and an industry that has been very forceful with this in the past with the one call close has been solar.
Hmm.
Um, now the interesting part is SumoQuote's getting into solar. So we're going to have solar presentations coming out right away, and that's a totally different beast. And we're very excited about that because of how much opportunity there is there, but how much better that industry can be served away from these classic solar salespeople. But these classic solar salespeople that force it, the stat that I've heard over and over again is almost 50% of jobs that are signed in the home by solar salespeople never go through to production, end up falling through.
Wow.
Because they forced that one call so hard. And as soon as the homeowners had a little bit of time to think about it, it just falls through. And you've got to imagine the Google reviews and anything else. If you're a roofing company that cares about your image, cares about the experience, that you provide to homeowners and great reviews and everything else, if you force that too hard, you're ultimately probably shooting yourself in the foot a little bit. But yeah, again, I think there's great opportunity for both sides to move a little more towards the middle for each other.
Agree 100%. Well said. And I do agree with the 25 to 30%. That's how it feels to me what's happening because understanding consumer behavior is crucial. You cannot have hard policies or hard rules about it. Everyone is different. You will have people who are ready. You will have people, even myself. Sometimes I'm sitting on something ready to make a decision. Boom. Whoever answers the call, whoever shows up, if I'm driving, going to the store or a car dealership, if I'm ready to buy, I'm walking in, I'm getting out of with a purchase. But sometimes I'm just getting started. I'm educating myself. I don't know what I'm getting into. Sometimes I feel like someone will take advantage of me. I don't know enough about it. So I'm going to do a little more research. I'm going to sleep on it. It's not because I'm not serious. It's not because I don't respect person who shows me information. But even if I like them, I want to know. Like, I'll give you an example. I was shopping for a sauna a couple of years ago, and this guy in town in Minneapolis here, he builds portable saunas, like trailers. And you're talking about $15,000 to $20,000 trailer, but he also builds it on your backyard, on your deck. He can come with his team and build a sauna. So he gave me a price of $15,000 to build it on my deck. The problem was we don't have enough sunlight from my kitchen window looking down to my deck, and my wife said, like, that thing will be blocking even more sun. Like this side of the house does not get enough sun, and now you want to build this thing. I'm doing my dishes here, and now I have to look, instead of a deck and a sun, I have to look at a sauna. As much as you like sauna, I don't appreciate it. So it was $15,000 quote. I did not go with it. Instead, I went to Costco. I bought like $4,500 sauna that fits like 6 people, put it inside my garage. The best decision I ever made was over 3 years ago. But then 2 years later, I'm like, you know what? I should have a portable sauna because I remember that guy and actually purchased from him $20,000 per a portable sauna. Just came in, he's like, what do you have? He's like, we have to build it 6-8 weeks. I'm like, let me know when you have it. He calls me 5 days later. He's like, I have the sauna. We build it. The guy doesn't want it. I'm like, done. I get it. I brought that sauna to Orlando for roofing process conference. Everybody enjoyed it. So the point is, it's sometimes we're sitting and we have to sleep on it and we have to talk to our wives. And salespeople are so selfish and stubborn. It's like, oh, you want to talk to your wife? Yeah, I want to talk to my wife. And my wife probably should talk to me before spending $20,000 on something, right? I think amount of disrespect that we have to the homeowners in the industry is through the roof. It's crazy how many people's trying to belittle the homeowner for not being able to make a decision or belittle them or try like I mean it's offensive when we ask for other party to be there, whether it's husband or wife. I'm okay with the two-leg sales, like when both homeowners are there, and I prefer that. But guess what? It doesn't happen all the time. Sometimes one of them will be traveling 24/7. Anyway, I think we should not have strict rules. We should be a little bit more understanding of people. And when you trying to be more adaptable, you will win overall.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and if you've got two people there, they're likely making the decision off of two totally different things, right? One might be price or reviews, confidence and trust in, your company. The other one might be aesthetics. And so you've got to be able to ideally have both tools for both of those ready to go at that time. So, we do some great integrations on the financing side. So right away there, if it's around price, hey, here's some financing option, everything's built in. Also easy to layer in, again, whether it was a project map it or you've got great before or after sort of here's some of our past projects that we've done. Oh man, that's amazing. Look at these options that we've got. And everything's kind of built in, but you've got to make sure that whatever issue that they have or challenge that you need to overcome there, you've got that arrow ready to go in your quiver that you can just hit that straight away. And that's the beauty of technology, right? Is you can do these things like you said with Atlas earlier, where it's, man, look at this aesthetic. I have the confidence to close this deal right now because I can see how that looks. Done. You just eliminated that objection and it's easy to close.
Love it. It's been amazing conversation about presentation. I'm pretty sure people appreciate it and learn quite a few things. At the end, I want you to give advice to someone who does not have leverage with the relationships, a brand new contractor who is not certified, who is not master elite or preferred contractor even, who maybe does not even know what brands to install yet. So starting in business, they just finished their branding. They have a logo. They don't have a rich history. They don't have big relationships. They're not trustworthy in the eye of a consumer yet because they are the startup. They don't have reviews. What can they do in their first presentation? How should they present? How you can help them? What should they put when they have nothing?
You know what? From a presentation perspective, um, the number of homeowners that have asked me how many years have we been in business or how many projects have we, done are actually very few, right? Homeowners tend not to ask that. If you've gotten the lead, they've got some degree of confidence that you're competent. So just don't screw that part of it up. Then go in there and make sure that you just serve them and educate them like crazy. If you're personable and warm, if you include photos, inspection photos, and you're showing them things that nobody else is talking to them about, you're the only one saying, "Hey, there's a bit of a dead spot behind the chimney here. We'll actually make sure we frame in a cricket or whatever it is." And you're the only one that it's explained that to them using photos so that they could understand it and weren't just putting on extra line items of charges that they didn't know what was going on there. If you can educate, you're ultimately, I think, going to win at the end of the day. So, if you can give phenomenal service, if you can educate incredibly well, and if you can create a buying experience that's customized to them, odds are they're not going to ask if you're master elite because they don't know what that is. And they're not going to ask you the number of projects you've done or how long you've been in business necessarily. Have your insurance, ready to go if they ask for your insurance. Like, make sure you've got all the things that you need to have. But I don't know, man. I think I could close deals out of the gate with a brand new business without a problem just because of how we serve the customer and answer their questions and educate them as opposed to leaning on some of these other things.
But how many pages would you build in your presentation, though? Is it 10
Oh,
pages, 5 pages? Like, what would your presentation look like for that company?
yeah, I would still leverage those brands because they're recognizable. I would still leverage their marketing pages by sliding them in there. I just wouldn't be able to say that I'm a preferred
Mm,
contractor or a platinum contractor or something like that. So I would still include those pages. Um, but I would probably be a dozen, maybe upwards of 15 pages, but I kind of like to keep it 10 feels light. Over 20 starts to feel like you're
heavy.
giving them too much information, you're making them wade through it. And at that point, you're probably what I like doing with booklets or marketing pages is find the page. So if you've got a 20-page ICO brochure, there's probably only 2 pages that you're really ever showing the homeowner. One is going to be the colors, and the other is going to be some explanation of the roofing system or why ICO is a great shingle to be able to install, right? And so you're going to take those 2 pages and just situate them at the exact point in your presentation that you want to talk about that and have it be a very intentionally crafted narrative that you're taking them through, as opposed to just sliding in a 20-page brochure of ICO and just making them wade through all the stuff. Like they just tune out. It just doesn't make sense to them why they're looking at something anymore. So yeah, I'd probably say that 10 to 20 is the right range, I think, oftentimes.
Even for established company.
Depends on the complexity.
Uh,
So you're getting into insurance, you're wanting to explain the
I
insurance
see.
process to them. I'm probably having a marketing page that's showing here's the step by step that we are going to take you through, right? As opposed to most companies would say, oh, well, my salesperson told them. Yeah, they also told them 100 other things at that meeting, and the homeowner's forgotten 98 of them. So they're never going to remember. If you put it on a page so that the homeowner can refer to it and be like, awesome, I know the next step coming up is this and that now I'm waiting on the insurance company or that this is coming up. It's not the contractor's fault or I'm not waiting on them for it. So it depends on the complexity of it. But yeah, a larger company where there's a little more for them to flaunt or talk about, yeah, you might be up to that 20 plus sort of. But you got to be really, I would say you might start at 25 and you might say, hey, these 5 pages aren't actually going to be relevant for the homeowner. I'm just going to toggle them off quick because it takes me 10 seconds to toggle them off. But now I've cleaned this up so much more for them. So, yeah, it just depends on the situation for the contractor.
Got it. It was an awesome conversation about presentation. Presentation, guys, is crucial. My business path absolutely changed once I start doing presentation. If you guys don't have a presentation, check out SumoQuote. I highly recommend them. I have a lot of guys in roofing school and in our network who is using SumoQuote. To be honest with you, I've never heard single complaint about SumoQuote. I don't talk to contractors who's like, well, I signed up and I regretted it. You will use it, you will abuse it. If you don't have a presentation, never sold the job with a presentation, it will change your life. You will never be the same. Highly recommend Job Nimbus. Ryan, thank you so much for your insights. I'll see you guys on the next podcast. Take care of yourself. Happy New Year. 2023 is going to be an awesome year no matter what the news says. Stay positive, stay tuned. Good things ahead.
Thanks, Dmitry. Have a great 2023, everyone.